Hi guys, the Tories are something else, aren't they? For years they defended the deindustrialisation of Britain, the war against trade unions and the worship of money markets as part of their neoliberal ideology. The same people who until a few weeks ago were demanding that Britain do a trade deal with the US and to hell with the consequences are now, it seems, backing protectionism. A senior journalist at the Torygraph, Poppy Coburn, appeared on Newsnight where she called for the UK to copy Donald Trump and look inward. Crazy stuff, have a listen.
I wish the UK had a bit more ambition in what it wants to do with its economic plan. I think what we have to remember is Trump has been extremely consistent since the 1980s about why he wants tariffs. He doesn't just want cheap consumer goods. I mean, this is what the US Secretary of the Treasury said. That's not the American dream. The American dream is a total reformulation of the global economic plan to improve living standards for American citizens.
Yes, but tariffs don't achieve that. Tariffs drive up the price of goods. Like, Donald Trump doesn't care about the average person. Donald Trump only cares about himself. He wants to hold on to power, and he's willing to use whatever trick in the book to achieve that. Donald Trump does not care about the American dream. The American dream is that anyone can become rich or successful from starting with nothing. Of course, it no longer exists, but that's what the American dream is. Not to reformulate or reconstruct American society.
And I would also say that perhaps the UK should become slightly more sceptical about our free trade position. You know, we've had free trade.
This is very interesting to hear from a Telegraph assistant comment editor. No longer the free traders.
Well, I would just say we've had free trade in this country since the 1990s, or much longer than that. Yeah. We've had a long history of free trade in this country. Has it done much good to stop overregulation? Has it done anything to stop economic stagnation? No. I think instead what it's done is we've had to avoid tough questions on whether or not the planning system works, whether or not we can go forward with net zero. We have no industrial capacity in this country anymore. We just had our last steel plant shut down by a Chinese company. I think we should really be more open-minded to a closing world.
Open-minded to a closer world. Like, these people, this is unbelievable. The Tories, and she's obviously a Tory because she works for the Tory backing Telegraph. But the Tories, over the last number of years, have said, no, we need to do trade deals with countries around the world. We need to separate ourselves from Europe. The UK imports in winter about 40% of its food. And these people are talking about, well, let's cut ourselves off from the rest of the world. The United States is massive. It can cut itself off from the rest of the world. It's going to be very difficult to do so. It's going to be very expensive for the average person. The billionaires and multimillionaires will be probably okay, but your average American will not be better off under Donald Trump. But for a Tory to suggest we need to cut ourselves off, I've mentioned before how many Brexiteers view the future of Britain like a sort of European North Korea. Cut ourselves off from the rest of the world, cut ourselves off in particular from Europe. The UK can't cut itself off. It's an island nation. It needs to import goods. It needs to trade with its neighbours. It's just mind-boggling that a Tory would be suggesting, no, what we need to do is we need to end trade. We need to just produce everything ourselves. The UK can't produce everything itself. That's why it has to import goods. Importation trade is not a bad thing, per se. Because you trade with your neighbours because you need something that they have, and they trade with you because they need something that you have. It's important to have a good relationship with your neighbours because then you benefit and they benefit. She also talked here about overregulation. What overregulation? And how is international trade related to overregulation? This is a libertarian mindset within the Tory party and certain Tories. We need to eliminate all regulations. We should allow the market to decide. We should allow businesses to do whatever the hell they want. And to hell with the consequences. A lack of regulation resulted in Grenfell. A lack of regulation means it's more difficult to sell goods into the single market. These people are insane. These people don't know what the hell they're talking about. Their admiration of Donald Trump blinds them to the reality that Britain is facing. Should certain things be protected? Yes. Certain industries like steel should be nationalised because it's so important for so many aspects of society, for so many aspects of the economy, I should say. But Britain can't go full protectionist, can't go full independent, because it wouldn't make any sense. It would end up driving down living standards, driving up costs. The UK can't emulate Donald Trump. It's just insane to actually think in such a way.